Our mission is to build strong businesses in our community and put our people to work. And this business, it's got to be business, because that window of opportunity is closing for many small businesses. Shooting the person that you are asking to rehire you, that's probably down at the bottom of the list. To be fair with people, you might get the best price, but sometimes you're winning the battle but losing the war. Let's get our economic freedom on. Good morning and welcome to the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Let me say that again for the people in the back. Saving our community. Why do I care? Well, somebody's got to care. Now, we have a lot of folks out here working hard to make this happen, but there's so much work to do. There's so many needs. But I've decided to focus my energies on business development, because a successful business is an opportunity that's available to all, and we need them in our community. That's right. If we can get more successful businesses humming, then a plethora of ills that plague our community can be mitigated. That's right. So I'm not saying that I have all the answers, but I've been at this for a minute. That's right. I've been doing this as long as Buck was a calf, Chet was a puppy. My dad was a business owner. He was a sharecropper, and he had a small grocery store. And that's where I cut my teeth initially. That's where that bug bit me. And there's a lesson in that too. Your kids are watching. If you become a business owner, there's a much higher likelihood that your kids at least will be curious. And some are going out here making their own mark, doing their own thing. They're not thinking about business ownership, but it doesn't hurt to introduce them and let them understand that that is an option. So I'm on a mission. That's right. This is my cause célèbre, my raison d'être, my reason for being is to build businesses. And anybody who needs help, then they can tune into this show every Friday at 10:30 a.m. right here on the Marketing Pulpit. Been doing it now for 12 years. Started over at Radio 1 back in 2010 in May. The show was committed to honor the name was committed to honor my dad, who was a Baptist minister who spent 50 plus years in the pulpit. And so when I started to look for a name for the show, and he was pretty literally on his deathbed, simultaneously, I decided to name the show Marketing Pulpit in his honor. And we've been rolling ever since. Matter of fact, starting in October, we'll be back over at Radio 1. We'll be broadcasting live from the Radio 1 studios starting in October. We took a hiatus because of the pandemic, but we're back. So you'll catch the same show at the same time. We may have a different background and a little different settings, and we'll be hitting a larger audience and a different audience, but you will still be able to get the show tuning in right here on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and Twitter. And you can also go to marketingpulpit.com and get the show if you don't have any of those platforms. I'm a business developer by trade. I have a company called Gatewood Marketing and Web, and I've been at that now for probably about 30 years or so. That's a long time. But hey, when you're doing something for your purpose and your life, and your life calling and what you do for a living, when your purpose and your incomes overlap, man, we call that self-actualization. I also teach it at the college over at Prince George's College in Maryland. I've been teaching marketing over there for about 25 years. I also teach a course in networking, and I teach a course in social media. I'm also working as a subcontractor with the Small Business Administration to help companies in the 8A program, help them get their social media and graphic design and web services on par. And I've written a couple of books, one called Played in Full and another called Smarter Than the Boss. So yeah, I've been at this for a minute, and I will continue. to keep putting this information out here. Now, if you are a business owner and you're struggling and you're trying to get things coming and off the ground, tune in here, right here. I'm not going to charge you 1 penny for this information because some information is so vital for survival that not being able to afford it, that's not a good enough reason. So as a responsible business owner, if you have such a service, then you have to find a way to make it more available to the ones who need it. Sometimes you may do pro bono. Sometimes you may have different packages or services or delivery channels for those that don't have the financial means. And whether you have the financial means or not, tuning in right here on Friday, it's a good way to spend a Friday, if I must say so myself. I want to say good morning to some people here. Good morning, Carlisa. Thank you for tuning in this morning. Good morning, Brother Brown. Thank you for the greatest plumber in town. Good morning, Michelle. And to all of you tuning in from all of the various platforms, I know you're out there. I see the numbers. If you want to get shouted out, just drop a note in the feed and I will recognize you on air. And as I said, also, we'll be back on Radio 1 in October. So hang in there, hang around. Let's see what is going on. We got a lot going on today. Later in the show, we're going to talk about scarcity. Scarcity. You think about scarcity, you think about not having enough to go around. You think about need. You think about, what is that? Suffering? But not really. When it comes to marketing, scarcity can actually be a perk. There are benefits. It can be a blessing, a favor. You said, what you talking about, Robert? How can running out of something be a good thing? Well, when you think about marketing, it's an emotional decision. And scarcity just happens to be one of those decisions, one of those emotions that drive demand. So we're going to talk about later in the show how big companies have used scarcity to drive their sales, really underpin their businesses in some cases. It's part of their business model. And I say, why should they have all the fun? Why should they make all the money? This show will show you how to do it for a small business. I spent my early years straight out of college in corporate America. I was in the boardrooms. I was making the decisions on buying and marketing. Did that for 20 plus years. And so when I decided to start my own company, I took some of those same concepts and ideas and scaled them down and put them and packaged them in a way that the typical small business owner could benefit from some of the same concepts and knowledge and experience that has been proven successful for large companies. So I took that same information and put it in a small business context. And today is no exception. We're going to talk about scarcity and why Nike and Popeyes and a host of other companies use scarcity to drive demand and prop up their sales. Let's see what else is going on. We're going to have business news coming up in a moment. We're going to talk about some of the things that are happening in the business arena. And as always, this morning, when I come to this show in the morning, most of the time, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Sometimes I get the idea the night before. Sometimes it comes to me when I'm talking to a client. Sometimes it comes to me in the middle of the night. So, but when you have all this knowledge in your head, just trying to get out, sometimes it just needs an opening. It needs a trigger. And sometimes you need context. Something happens in the news or something somebody says, or sometimes a simple act. Just like this morning, I was sitting there eating my oatmeal. I mean, McDonald's probably should send me a check. But then again, I may need to send them a check because I get many ideas from that morning bowl of oatmeal. I think last week it told me to let it go, get over it. But this week it taught me a different lesson. I was sitting there putting my ingredients together. They give you this oatmeal comes in this package. So you got the oatmeal in a cup by itself. Then they give you a little container that has some apples in it and some raisins and cranberries. And you throw it all in there and you stir it up. And I looked at the ingredients this morning. I mean, I'm a pretty smart guy, so I didn't really need an ingredient to tell me that I need to stir it up. But it was thought-provoking. It said, stir and enjoy. I said, now why does McDonald's need to tell me to stir and enjoy? Come on, man, you insulting my intelligence? Then I thought about it. I said, wait a minute. Why should anybody have to tell us to stir and enjoy our lives? Aren't we smart enough to know better? But life is full of disparate components when you think about it. And taken separately, they can misrepresent life itself. You can't evaluate a book by just reading one chapter. You can't just evaluate a trip by the time you spend at the toll plaza. That was a terrible trip. You just took that one ingredient as the totality of your trip. So you have to enjoy life just like I did that bowl of oatmeal by pouring the components in there and stirring them up. If you were sitting there making a cake, I made a peach cobbler the other day. Man, it was good. And if I just took a spoon, so I had all the ingredients laid out on the table. I had salt, I had sugar, I had baking soda, I had vanilla extract. But if I just took that teaspoon of salt and ate it, I'd spit the whole thing out and say, man, this cake is not worth baking. This cobbler is not going to be any good if this is an indicator. But we know anybody who's done any type of cooking, taken separately, those ingredients don't taste very well. But what you have to do, you have to stir them up. And that's what life is about. You have to stir things up. And you have to spread them out too. You just can't do them all at once. So you have to stir things up and you have to spread them out. It's like you wake up in the morning. You wake up, you exercise, you chant, you pray, you eat breakfast, you get ready, go to the office, eat lunch, come home, relax, watch some TV, go to bed. That's kind of like the way things work. But let's just suppose you just can't accumulate all these things at one time. You can't do all your resting on Monday, all your eating on Tuesday, all your working on Wednesday. You can't drink your wine glass all day on Friday, well, some of us do. And you can't do all your praying on Sunday, or being good, or worshiping. To make life work and to make that cake rise, you have to stir it up. Bottom line. But before I get to that, even your marketing efforts, you can't just do all social media. You can't do only direct mail. You can't just only knock on doors. You throw them in there together and you stir it up into a campaign. Bottom line, sometimes you might feel yourself in a rut. You wonder why life is not treating you fairly. You can say to yourself, life is just no good right now. But you may have been that person who was making that cake and picked up a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And you're saying to yourself, oh my goodness, life is horrible. But you fail to realize you have to take that extract. You throw in that sugar, crack an egg, put a little butter in it, some baking soda, flour, stir it up and enjoy. And the final thing you want to add to that, add a little warmth and heat. It's called love. Folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some items in the news. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. And if you want to join the conversation, we have a platform now where you can go to marketingpulpit.com, click on the button and say, join the show. And we'll put you right up here on the platform next to me. And you can talk about any of the items that I've talked about today. And you can join the show right here. And you'll be, tell all your friends, and you'll be a star. All right, so hang on a second. We'll be back in a minute. As you listen to the items in the news, if you see something you'd like to opine on, go to marketingpulpit.com and you'll see a method for getting onto the show where you can voice your opinion as well as promote your upcoming event or product, or if you have a book.
I just really want to encourage people to get their things organized and documented. have parents who are involved in their child's life, but still things happen.
I found out a lot of things about social media. It can help you, and it also can harm you.
These have children in the street, they're going to learn from something. So it's best that they learn from us.
Hey, I want to promote me and another partner in comedy. We decided to collaborate.
All right, welcome back to the Marketing Pulpit Show. I am Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Thank you for everybody who's tuning in today. Let's see who else we have here. Good morning, Gracie, down in North Carolina. Bless your heart for tuning in. Thank you, and I appreciate your tuning in, as you often do. Glad to have you on board this morning. And anybody else who's tuning in, get your shout out. Just put your name in the feed, and we'll be glad to recognize you. And if you want to drop your name of your company on there, I don't mind. I'll take that too. I'll announce your company. And also, if you want to talk about it, just go to marketingpulpit.com and join the show. All you got to do is talk about some of these news items with me. I'll put you right here, and you'll be a co-host for the day, or at least a guest. Let's see. Later in the show, we're going to talk about scarcity we're going to talk about the economics and the psychological component of scarcity. In other words, running out of things. All right, let's see what's going on. Last night, I was watching, I was looking for the game last night. I noticed the game comes on every Thursday night. I'm flipping through my cable. I'm Googling online. So wait a minute, where's the game? And I remember that right now, Amazon is doing the game Thursday night football. They have a deal with the NFL. It's like a $1 billion deal. They will broadcast the game through Amazon. They started, I think it was last week when they started. And it was a different experience, I must say. But boy, let me tell you, I predicted this many years ago, that the internet and TV will become one. It's happening. It was happening. Luckily, I had Amazon Prime, so I hadn't canceled it yet. So I was able to go in and log on to Amazon Prime and watch my game right there while I work. And good morning, Carlisa. Cookie Now by Sparkles. Oh yeah, Carlisa has some delicious cookies. If you want some cookies, man, you know about a good service. I ordered these the other day. And man, they brought them to my office, and I was sitting there eating some chocolate chip cookies, and I think I had what's the white things? What do you call them? I can't even think of the name of it. But anyway, I ordered 2 types of cookies. So thank you, Carlisa, for letting us know about your business, Cookie Now. I guess it's Cookie Now by Sparkles. Google that and go ahead and order some cookies from this sister. Thank you again for tuning in and reminding us about that great service. And Mr. Brown said, yes, the game was on Amazon. Yeah, I'm just flipping through the channels and hey, where's the game? But it's keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this world is moving. You got to keep up with things nowadays, whether it's your game or your business or just in general. We've had several business discussions about technology and where it's going. As a matter of fact, we had an IT specialist on last week, Miss Karen Johnson, and we talked about the different types of we talked about cybersecurity. We talked about CRM and so forth. You can go back and listen to that show. But I thought it was very interesting that Amazon, the game was on Amazon last night and not on regular TV. That was wild. Not on cable. That was wild. Now you can still get it through. I think you can get it through Direct TV, and they have a deal. Amazon has a deal with certain bars and restaurants where they can watch. You can go to a restaurant and watch it. So you might check with your local restaurant or bar. About 300,000 bars and restaurants across the country will air the game. They had a very interesting team of broadcasters. I saw Richard Sherman used to play for the Seattle Seahawks. And this is the other thing too. We did a show about a month ago where one of the intended broadcasters, I can't think of the guy's name, but you can go back and look at the show. He and his brother got in a fight with a coach at a Pee Wee League game. The guy's brother shot the opposing coach and killed him. And the guy the other guy of this brotherhood who was fighting this coach was supposed to be one of the broadcasters on this Thursday night football game with Amazon. I'm thinking that he was probably replaced by Richard Sherman, but it's just so many stories here that we talk about war in the workplace, and we talk about how you have to let things go and not exacerbate the situation. So there's so many stories and so many, this show that we do every week, we're weaving life and admonishing and advising and consoling. And that came to mind the minute I saw the lineup. I saw Tony Gonzalez, let's see, another guy, Andrew Whitworth, Ryan Fitzpatrick. That was the lineup. So anyway, very interesting experience. Let's see what else is going on. So that's Amazon. Let's see. Also in the news, let the car buyer beware. The price of cars are through the roof. Matter of fact, you can't even get your favorite car in some cases. You go to the showroom, you can't get the color you want, the model you want. Prices have gone up 10% over a year. So that means that car you wanted for $5,000. That's a joke, right? It's now $5,500. Let's say $10,000 or $20,000. That's $2,200. $22,000. Yeah, you know what I mean. That's pretty serious. The average car price, the average new car price is $46,000. I had to drink on that. I remember 46,000 get you like a Bentley, didn't it? Not anymore. That's the average. So the car that you want, your dream car, probably up in the 60s now. Wow. And dealerships are charging some cases 10%, even as high as 20% above the manufacturer's suggested retail price. You know how you used to go into the showroom, you see that price on the one, he's like, $50,000, you kidding? I'll get it for $35,000. Now you see $50,000, you're gonna get it for $55,000. Times are changing. Oh well. Also, FedEx is increasing its prices. Oh man, what's going on here? Now here's an interesting news. Fraudsters, people who have frauded the government out of $45.6 billion from unemployment insurance funds from a federal program that the government put up back in 2020 when millions of people were thrown out of work. So they rushed all this money out here. And whenever that money starts rushing, whether it's a flood, whether it's FEMA, whether it's PPP, the fraudsters get out, they dust off their wares and they get busy. $45.6 billion in jobless aid. Wow, including $250 million stolen from a meals program for needy children. Come on, folks. You can't do that. That's cold. That's wrong. Let's see here. Workers have a new post-COVID attitude. Well, that's true. People just aren't taking it anymore. They're unionizing, they're striking, they're pushing back. And they're saying, there's work from home. I'm not going back. You can fire me if you want to. But if enough people say I'm not going back, they're going to have to change the rules. And a 4-day work week now has become the norm. I remember years ago, I was with Telegrocery. We had the first home delivery, one of the first home delivery supermarkets in the country. This French guy named Terry. And he used to brag all the time about the French way of life. Rabbit, we only work 4 days per week in French. And what the heck? No way in the world that's ever going to happen here. They try to get you to work 7 days a week. But anyway, it's here. French. Terry, where are you now? I have to find you and rub this in your face. That is not just the French anymore. Americans, we're down to the 4-day work week too, at least in the office. Let's see, what else I think we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about some war in the workplace. How people are still cutting the fool out here. I thought I was able to get rid of this segment. But every time I look around. Now what, you stupid fucking cunt? Now what? That is just... Oh boy, what's going on out here? All right, folks, hang on a second. Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back and do some more in the workplace. This is the Marketing Pulpit. Thank you to our sponsors, BLE Executive Suites. Let's thank our Pre-Plan Your Way. Let's thank our L. Riggs and Associates. And a few other folks that are coming on as sponsors. So hang on. Also, if you want to get your show shouted out on when we over at Radio One, just go to marketingpulpit.com. We have to update those prices and plans over there, but you can still get in under the wire now at those good prices. So go to marketingpulpit.com and let's promote your business on the air. And we'll be back in a minute talking about some war in the workplace. And later in the show, we're going to talk about scarcity, how scarcity can be a good thing. Marketing Pulpit, we'll be back in a minute. Welcome back to the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses. That's right. We've told you out here, ladies and gentlemen, don't curse the darkness when you have a candle to light. If you're complaining about lack of sales, complaining about your company is struggling, and here I am pretty much offering you free marketing and advertising advice. We're putting your word, your information out here to the world, and we're giving you good advice here. These are proven techniques. I don't talk about anything on this show that I haven't tried myself when it comes to this advice I give out. And we have a very impressive clientele. People like Joe Madison, people like Neely Fuller, people like BLE Executive Suites, Willie Jolly. This goes on and on of people that we work with or continue to work with to help them build their companies. Diet to Go, worked with them for many years. And these are national companies and Radio One. So this is not advice on the cheap. It might be free, but that's what's making it less valuable. And we do, like I say, some people have contacted me about working with them to help them grow their companies. Matter of fact, a young lady right now put her on hold because I told her we weren't taking in new clients. And she just waited and waited and waited. She thought I was kidding. And so finally we got an opening. And I told her to go ahead and we may start working with her next month. She has an education company. She wants to sell online courses. Well, we were sincere when we said we were not taking new clients. It goes back to that scarcity thing we're going to talk about a little later. So anyway, welcome back to the show. Go to marketingpulpit.com. You can find the show right there on the homepage. You can watch it live. You don't have to have Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or Twitter. You can watch the show live right there on your desktop. So also we're on the different platforms. All right, let's talk about some items in the news. We have this segment called War in the Workplace where people it started during the pandemic when people seem to have lost their ever-loving minds. People beating up the airline stewardesses and flight attendants. They're shooting at the drive-through windows. They're road rage everywhere, and bosses beating up employees, employees beating up bosses. So we're going to keep it going at least until things calm down a little bit. But the main thing we want you to do is not to get involved and to not escalate. If you see one of these situations, you want to, particularly if it happens to you, let's use discretion and tell everybody else, look, we see the example of this coach, this player, former football player who had an opportunity to be one of the commentators on Amazon's Thursday Night Football. He got in a fight with a coach, and his brother shot and killed the opposing coach. So we bring these stories not to belittle or to just sensationalize, but these are lessons. Like in Prince George's County, 3 men are shot outside a Popeyes restaurant. Is that starting to sound cliche? That's right here in the DC area, by the way. Iverson Mall. It's about 5-6 miles outside of the nation's capital. Why would 3 men get shot outside of a Popeyes? I'm sure Popeyes is saying, can you stop bringing this drama? We're just trying to deliver some delicious chicken. And it is pretty good, I must say. I guess of all the chicken, if I must eat fried chicken, I must say a Popeyes 2-piece, you can't beat it with a stick. Man, but those red beans and rice on there, oh, it's not worth shooting anybody over, though. I can tell you that. Well, Tiffany Haddish, boy, she's had a rough week. She and Ari Spears. Man. That's one shoe I wouldn't want to be in this week. She had really, her star was shining. She was riding a big cloud. And now she just recently said, I lost everything. Of course, she was involved in a child sex abuse lawsuit, whereas she and co-comedian Ari Spears did a skit. I think Tiffany she acted in it, and she was also, I think, the co-producer or the director or something. And we had a young man in his underwear, and there was, I actually saw the video yesterday for the first time. I was like, whoa. I'm not sure how anybody could have seen that and thought it was okay, but I know sometimes you get, especially a comedian, where you kind of always trying to walk the tightrope and you're on the edge and you get caught up in the group think and the myopia and it's like the guardrails fall off. Well, that happens in life, not just in comedic segments. It happens in life sometimes. You get caught up. You're not seeing life in its totality. You're seeing just one section of it, that little world in which you're living, and you do things that may be accepted among your thinking group, but not acceptable to the general public. I don't personally think Tiffany Haddish is a child molester or abuser, but the segment that got her in trouble, I must admit, was a little over the top. I don't think that she should be canceled. I think that she'll probably learn from this and do better. But you just really, whether it's business, whether it's making movies, writing songs, have a foundation, have some beliefs, some core values that keep you from doing certain things. And so, like I said, hope Miss Haddish and will able to survive from this and move forward and do better. Maybe you can help, contribute to some causes and try to get this blemish. I mean, it's always going to be there, but hopefully, like I say, I think everybody deserves a second chance. Let's see. Speaking of second chances, the Baltimore Celtics head coach. I was watching the playoffs. I think it was last year. Was the Boston in the playoffs? Amy Udoka. He was suspended after a relationship with a female staff member. Man, this story just. The reason it made so much news because many people don't know him, but they know his girlfriend, who was Nia Long. So Twitter, particularly Black Twitter, they've been excoriating him. Man, they have ready to run him out of town on a rail. It's like all these memes out here, like we would forgive you for X number of transgression, but to cut out on Nia Long, so he's been suspended. And according to the team, the 45-year-old coach, they said right now he has been suspended. This is his first season as the head coach, and we saw he and Nia Long on the sidelines during the playoffs. He was only the fifth person in the 25 years to reach the NBA Finals in his first season as a head coach. Boy, we got to think a little better. I know sometimes love can blossom at work, but that dynamic where you're the boss or it's just never going to work out. I'm just telling you, it's not going to work in your favor. The minute that relationship goes sour, or somebody underneath or some other co-worker feel like there's some type of favoritism, and that's why it's usually forbidden in particularly these high profile positions like head coaches and things like that. So anyway, hopefully he can learn from his experience. Man, there's so many lessons here today. Let's see what else is going on. Wow, now, this is weird. A worker was found dead in a Belk department store after 4 days. This is down in South Carolina. Now, how can that happen? 4 days in the department store, in the bathroom? Bessie Durham, 63, was working for an outside party at Belk that contracts the cleanest bathrooms at the time of her death. She went in the bathroom and never came out. She was found 4 days later. Well, sorry, Miss Bessie. That's a really sad. That's a sad story. I'm not sure what even lesson is in this, except that I thought it was worth mentioning that there are so many ways to leave this earth, and as companies and employers and co-workers, we just have to be vigilant and keep our guards up at all times. All right, folks, let's do this. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about scarcity. We're going to talk about how scarcity can be used in your marketing and your advertising and promotions. There's like 6 different strong emotions that drive buying decisions. Scarcity happens to be one of those most powerful ones. We're going to talk about how it's being used by some of the big companies and how you can use scarcity to increase your sales, increase your demand, and improve your bottom line. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. We'll be back in a minute. Don't go anywhere. Hang on one moment. Let's see here. I had a conversation with somebody the other day. They were talking about filling out some type of application. And they were like, well, if I do this, I can probably get away. You could get away with what? Well, because everybody don't do it. I'm telling you, somebody under the sound of my voice right now is thinking about taking a shortcut, maybe fudging the numbers, exaggerating your experience. Don't do it. Gatewood is telling you it's not worth it. It might take you a little longer, might take you a little more hours, might cost you a little more money to get the legitimate result. These shortcuts are going to get you. And it's because of technology and social media. You can't beat them. You can't. You can take that to the bank. Good morning, Anthony. Before you curse the darkness, feel around in your pocket. See if you have a candle to light and light your way out of that darkness. Complaining is just not going to do it. Nobody wants to hear it. I'm telling you. Nobody cares about your complaint. I don't. I want you to do something about it. I'm concerned, but if you're not doing anything to light that candle, nobody gives a flying, you know what. All right. So the next time you find yourself facing doom, gloom, complain, get out your matches, find you a candle, and just light your way out of it. Is it going to be easy? Not always, but I tell you what, you're more likely to get some type of result than sitting there complaining and cursing the darkness. Light the candle. All right, welcome back to the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses. Starting October 7, we'll be back over at the studios at Radio 1. I think they're Urban One now. And we'll still be on at the same time. Maybe the surroundings may look a little differently. I may have a microphone in front of me and some headsets on my ear, but I'll be the same guy. We'll just be reaching an additional audience. And but you can still get the show through the same platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. As a matter of fact, if you are on one of those platforms now, you can go back and watch the past shows. And we have them categorized over at YouTube, where you can listen to a 15-minute version of the show. You can listen to a 1-minute version. Well, not the whole show, but a snippet from it. You can also go in and search on different categories. You can also do that on Marketing Pulpit. If you're looking for a certain topic, social media, branding, graphic design, networking, sales, just type in the topic in the search bar and you'll find shows on that topic, either at marketingpulpit.com or on YouTube. All right, let's see what else is going on. Let's talk about our topic for today: scarcity. Scarcity is a rare blessing. Now, one of the most powerful marketing tools when it comes to sales and promotion, one of the most powerful emotions is scarcity. When there's not enough to go around, the value and the desire goes up. And it's based on a concept called supply and demand. The greater the supply, if you got a lot of it, then the price is going to go down. If you have a little bit of it, if not enough of it, then the price goes up because of demand or lack of supply. Now, other types of emotions that we may be familiar with that I've talked about on the show quite often: money. These are emotional decisions to make or get more money or to save it. Security, physical need, pleasure, social proof, and scarcity. Now, when, like I said, let's take oil, for instance. You see this every day. When oil gets scarce, the price goes up. When Popeyes comes out with his newest chicken and there's a line around the block, the demand goes up because there's not as much of it. Apple, Nike, those two big companies, they thrive on this concept of scarcity. they never seem to have quite enough of that new Air Jordan, or never quite enough new to iPhone. You got to drive around a little bit. Sometimes you go to from website to website because they understand that scarcity drives demand. Now, scarcity is also a concept that's a foundational aspect of economics. In the world of economics, when there's scarcity, there's usually 4 different routes to deal with it. You produce more of it. That's one way. You reduce the demand. You create alternatives, or you can ration the supply. That's kind of like the economic approach to scarcity. But marketing is different. Marketing is more about emotional and psychological, and it's used to sell more products. Since we know this phenomenon is so magical, shouldn't we all want a piece of this pie? I know I do. So let's look at this thing called scarcity and the 4 different ways that it exists, either naturally or in some cases, it's manufactured. In other words, you're creating scarcity where it didn't really exist naturally. Now, the first one is called supply itself. That's the default. And there genuinely is not enough to go around. Okay, we see that sometimes you go to the restaurant, you go to the gas pump, you go this place or that, your favorite clothing line. You go there, there's just not enough to go around. So that is called supply. That's the default. If there's not enough of them, then the price goes up. The demand is high, the price goes up. But let's just say that's a natural supply issue. But let's just say you saying to yourself, well, look, I'm not out of anything. I have plenty. I just don't have any sales. How can I capitalize on this high emotion called scarcity? I'm gonna give you 3 different ways because I want you to be able to take advantage of this scarcity too. You may have a whole garage full of them. You may have more time than you have anything else. So how can you capitalize on scarcity? Well, let me give you 3 quickly. The first one is quality. There may be a lot of them out there. I mean, the market may be saturated, but they won't be an abundance of the type of quality that you're offering. And you can create your own scarcity because there's only one you, there's only one shop producing that type of quality. And as a result, the word will eventually get out, the demand will go up, and so will your prices. I'm telling you, this works. So think quality. If you want to create this magical phenomenon called scarcity, work in your favor. Another one is called timeliness. Sometimes scarcity can be time-based. Perhaps you can deliver it quicker and under amazing circumstances that other people cannot. That suddenly makes your type of service scarce because there's only one you. And guess what happens? Eventually, the word gets out, the demand goes up, sales go up, and so can your prices. And now you can become more profitable and capitalizing on this concept called scarcity. What else? How else can we capitalize on scarcity? You've got a lot of it. You're not running out. But you heard about this concept called scarcity and you want to get a piece of it. Another one is uniqueness. You can cut hair like nobody else. You bake a cookie like it's never been baked before. You're in an industry where you're defying the age limits. You are unique. You are one of a kind. You have plenty, but because you have limited supply, because you're one person, you're one shop, guess what happens? The word gets out, the demand goes up, your sales go up, and guess what? So can your prices. Let you all in on a little story. It's an experiment I did. I really didn't do it as a test, and I wasn't trying to increase my sales. About the end of last year, I went on the air and I announced to everybody I was not taking any new clients. I said, I just can't do it. This pandemic had beat me down. I mean, I had a waiting list. I mean, people wanted to get online courses. They wanted to launch businesses because they were leaving their jobs in droves. And I was just felt like I was doing a disservice by continuing to accept clients. So I said, well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go on the air and tell people that I can no longer take on additional clients. And little did I know, I was feeding into a concept called scarcity. Because now my service became scarce. I raised the bar for entry, the barrier to entry for people to get in. I was taking on certain types of services, clients that had been around for a certain period of time. I was not really getting into the new services. If you had a brand new experimental type business, I was saying, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. So that is another reason it made me want to talk on this topic today. That scarcity can be manufactured. It doesn't have to be a supply issue. It just might not, you can't do it at that particular time. You can't do it for that particular type of service. You can't do it under certain type of circumstances. So you can create a supply, a demand, a scarcity without being out of it. But you're still capitalizing on that phenomenon. It's a psychological phenomenon, just like social proof, just like fear or safety. I call those three the loaded gun: safety, scarcity, and social proof. Put those three together, you can sell anything under the sun. But today we're focusing on scarcity. So scarcity is also the kissing cousin of another concept called degrees of separation or unique selling position. Because you are unique, because you are offering something in a way that nobody else can, or the time that nobody else can, or in the circumstances that nobody else can, your services are indeed scarce. And because of that, you can dictate your prices. And I can tell you right now, some of you all are not charging enough. Sleep on that, marinate on that for a minute. I bet you if you have a very high quality service with limited distribution and unique, I'm going to say without even looking at your service, you probably need to raise your price. Okay. Robert Gateway told you that. And guess what? Let's say if you lost a customer, if you made let's say if a few people let's say slightly fewer people start to contact you. Hopefully you'll make up the difference by charging more. But guess what else happens? You have more time now to focus on delivering a higher quality product and take a little time off and sharpen the carpenters have to sharpen their tool every now and then to put out a better product and to get the rest you need so you can persevere against some of these competitors out here. Bottom line, take a look at your services, your products, and understand that it's okay to run out every now and then. I have an author who's a client. Man, we're selling books like you won't believe. And they taught me a lesson too. I was talking to the son of the author, and I was all in a tizzy. I said, look, we're going to run out of books. He's like, don't worry about it. He's just so calm and collected. I'm like, why is this guy not panicking like me? He understands this thing called scarcity. Because when the books ran out, the demand didn't decrease. It increased. And when we finally got the books in stock. We doubled the amount that we would normally order because the demand, not only for the ones who had not been able to get the book, the ones that couldn't get it were out here telling everybody else that they had to get it because it was now in such short supply. So, bottom line, let's go ahead and wrap this up. It's okay to run out every now and then. It's okay to be scarce because when you play your cards right, it will work out in the end. The demand will go up, and so can you increase your price? It's okay to be scarce. It's okay to run out. Scarcity is a big boom for certain industries. Nike, Apple, many of your big companies, they use scarcity. Why do you see these sales last one in stock? All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up for today. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Like I said, next week, we're going to be putting in our last show on this particular platform. We're not going to change the show now. The show is still going to be about building strong businesses, putting people to work. We're still going to be bringing in a boatload of amazing guests like we had a couple of last week. Miss Karen Johnson, we talked about IT. So go to Marketing Pulpit and you can watch that show. Also, we're going to be continuing bringing on special. You can also join into the show by typing your comments. And when we're over at Radio 1, you can actually call into the station. And then, of course, we'll be announcing your comments over the air in the Washington, D.C. area and across the world because they're also streaming on their app at WLDCnews.com. You can go to WLDCnews.com. Just take a quick peep at the lineup over there. You Google my name, I'll actually come up also. So we're looking forward to broadcasting coming up in the coming weeks over at Radio 1, the Marketing Pulpit, and some other platforms. We've had interest. People have been talking to us about bringing the show to other types of platforms. So that's going to wrap it up for today. I'm Robert Gatewood. I'm a business developer by trade. My company is Gatewood Marketing and Web. To find this show, you can go back to YouTube. It's automatically there. It's also on Marketing Pulpit. It's on Facebook. It's on LinkedIn. And you can want to share this show with other people. If you know somebody who's in business and trying to start a business and struggling and having a difficult time getting customers and sales, this stuff is not easy. I'm just telling you. I've been doing this for over 30 years. And doesn't matter how great of a hair designer you are, how great of an attorney you are, how great of a butcher, baker, candlestick maker, if your background is not marketing and promotion and advertising, you're going to have some struggles if you don't have some type of help. So what I've done, I've created this platform to help people who are not convinced that they need marketing. That's one of we call this what we call communication type of marketing and advertising. Well, I'm not trying to sell you anything. Like I tell you, my company, we're going to be fine. But what I do want to do is to make sure that people that need this service, particularly in our community, because we have to build these infrastructure, this financial infrastructure in our community to make sure that we can hire our own people. We've been going too long, going to other people's community with our hands out. And what happens when that happens, you get abused. You're underpaid, you're overworked. But what if we can build our own businesses, create our own financial underpinning? And that's what this show is about, building strong businesses in the community so that we can put our own people to work. That's my message. That's my purpose. That's my raison d'etre. That's my reason for being. So what you can do for me is to share this show, let others know about it. Follow us over to Radio 1 when we get back over there. And make sure that you are doing the things because we do not need another failed business in our community. We have enough of those, okay? We want businesses that are going to succeed. And I want you to make sure that you're helping us to do this. And Mr. Brown is going to help me out here as we get ready to leave the show for the day. To be successful, you must do these three things. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Mr. Brown, so he'll be back next week to watch us on the last show on this particular platform. And when I say the last show, that means we'll still be here on this time, on this channel, but we'll also be expanding our reach by going back over to Radio 1. All right, folks, so hang on. We'll be back next week. Don't go anywhere, and we will see you then. It's not just a little pocket change you're giving these kids when you hire them. You're giving them life lessons. I'm not saying be this stick in the mud, but you just can't get too close to everybody. I want to make sure that technology does not leave you on the sideline. And let me tell you about a thing called goodwill. That's one of your company's most valuable assets. You have to advertise. Don't be penny wise and pound foolish. We can't keep depending on others to put our children to work. do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Let's talk. Let's get to work.